Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. This is What If Deku Had a Perfect Quirk Part 1. If you enjoy this, make sure to like and subscribe, thank you. The Midoriya home, a quaint little apartment in central Mizutofu, was as lively as it could get with only two in the household. Inko bustled in the kitchen, making dinner with a happy hum. Izuku was finishing up his homework, which had taken a little under 15 minutes. This wasn't the routine per se, but it was a simplicity they couldn't give up. A nice change of pace for the aspirant teen to enjoy away from the intensity of dreams. Especially considering his quirk. Izuku, you know what's going to happen tomorrow? Right, dear? Asked Inko as she turned with a pan of a delicious spread, a smile on her face as she looked at him. His sigh was full whereas his smile lessened. I know, Mom. I should be able to pass Dash. I don't have an issue with you being a hero. You know very well what I want to happen tomorrow. Izuku leaned his head back, exasperated by the implication. Mom, I'm not going to act all high and mighty just because I've trained to be a hero. I'm not Katsuki. Inko simpered a little. I'm not asking you to be arrogant, Izuku Midoriya. I'm asking you to acknowledge your efforts and let them be seen by others. You might even help your auntie put some sense into Katsuki. God knows she's been pestered by his attitude over the years. Izuku snorted. That's putting it lightly. How are we supposed to be friends again? I'm not sure. I do consider that to be my only mom fail. It's more like a fail on his part at being a decent person, but what can you do? A few seconds passed before Izuku took on a more sincere expression, sitting in a cross-legged position on the couch as he turned to his mother. Mom, I don't care what my rank will be or how much money I make, and yes, I understand I have to look out for myself and all that, but Izuku let out a tired sigh, smiling slightly afterward. I don't need to show off everything I've done. Besides, I have you. Inko couldn't help the adoring smile after hearing that. Of course you have me, I'm your mother. That's never changing, but as willing as I am to do this, I can't bear all your problems with you because my baby boy is his own man. I don't have all the answers to the world and I don't live like a pro hero. I know you don't want to show off, but all the hard work you've done isn't something to be unacknowledged. Especially after you defeated that old teacher of yours. Just try to make a friend. A good, caring friend that will be with every step of the way, and maybe a girlfriend too. I still want my grandbabies someday. Mom! They laughed at the small comedic remedy to their talk, slowly coming to the peaceful quiet from before. Alright, dinner smells good. Shoo! On the left of the television was a bundled pile of what seemed like wood covered in snow-white leaves. It shifted a little before a flat bird tail popped out, and like a curious puppy, a long barn owl's head and neck unfurled as its leaf-like feathers changed color to autumn red, something like this. It hooted once before waddling over on talons to the couch, hopping onto a seat next to them. Inko cooed and walked over to scratch Shu on the head, which it responded by rotating its head upside down for more coddling. I'm not complaining, but how your quirk made such a beautiful creature, I will never be sure. Same. With dinner set for all three, yes, the owl eats too, the little family ate in peace. But, like always, Izuku gave the common topic a hard thought. Do I not want to be noticed, or is it just not the right time? The next day in class, Aldera Junior High was having a period dedicated to selecting their future careers. Not that it mattered to Izuku. He'd already applied for. Midoriya. You signed up for U.A, didn't you? The greenette had been busy writing in his notebooks, sighing along with Shu's hooting at the interruption. The murmuring only added to it. Wait, Midoriya? I kind of forget he exists a lot. He's so quiet. What does his quirk do? It has something to do with fire, right? There were other kinds of comments thrown his way silently, personal beliefs that it was unsure whether he could get in or not. One, however, wasn't silent and firmly said he couldn't. It was accompanied by an explosion as per usual. With an unimpressed face, Izuku quickly tossed his notebook to Shu's talons, where they landed safely. Deku. What the hell do you think you're doing? You are trying to challenge me. The greenette didn't move an inch from his seat, staring down at the burnt remains of his desk. He looked up to a boy with spiky blonde hair, angry red eyes, and a natural snarl on his face. This was Katsuki Bakugo, the boy he was supposed to grow up with as friends and has incessantly failed to be intimidated by. Izuku still wasn't. No, Bakugo. I'm not challenging you, just applying for my future career. It wasn't for lack of trying on the blonde's part, but with everything Izuku matured himself on, he saw right through the boasts and displays of talent. All the teen was an egotistical simpleton who naively believed in crediting quirks for everything was how the world worked. Katsuki's understanding of heroism in this age was that they always won, possessed strong quirks, and never went below number 1. Winning never lost its place as the end goal, and the blonde never cared for things such as casualties or civilian safety. Izuku knew that him not showing off his strength may have contributed to his, and so, Katsuki remained the bright gem of Aldera. Grr. You better not apply, damn nerd. I'm the only one who's passing that stupid entrance exam. U's gonna be lucky to have me. Not some wannabe trash like you. Katsuki's snarl didn't fade. Come on, Bakugo. No using your quirk in school, please. Midoriya, just use the spare desk in the back. With a nod and quiet walk, the once again whispering classroom watched as the two separated. Izuku understood from the one encounter that it was going to be a long day, but oh boy, he didn't even know that half of it. To think a purse snatcher of all criminals is giving me the slip. I'm running out of time, and fast. Toshinori Yagi raced through the sewer system. All the extra gunk lining the walls and pathways allowed the slime villain to pick up speed and increase his mass, keeping him just ahead of the number 1 hero. Damn it! With how much stronger he's gotten in here, he'll definitely have enough power to wreak havoc in the city. In a maneuver he should have expected, his viscous form jumped into an open pipeline leading out of the sewer. All Might may have been the code name, but Toshinori Yagi was the bearer and he was just as clueless as anyone could be about the sewer's layout. The question a now struggling pro was having was, where's he going next? Izuku exited the small shop where he'd picked up a few spices for today's dinner. He mentally salivated at eating more of his mother's food. Deciding to get to it sooner, he prepared to start an acrobatic return home, starting in the alley to his right. All seemed well until he recognized 3 voices, one obnoxiously loud and angry. Come on, Bakugo. Don't waste your time thinking about that loser Deku. Let's go to the arcade. I know already, and quit smoking around me. If I get caught with you idiots doing that, it'll go bad on my rec. Both their eyes widened on contact with each other. Izuku sighed once an even angrier expression took over Katsuki. Please don't start screaming, I just came to be you. Shut up, Deku. What the hell do you think you're doing here? Like I was going to say, I'm just buying some things for home. You got a lot of nerve giving me lip. What? You think you're better the . Screech. Shu, who'd been perched on the greenette's shoulder, saw Katsuki approaching aggressively with stomps and leans. His furled fingers did it for the quirk familiar and the spirit-like bird swooped in, its talon managing to snag a cut on Bakugo's right cheek. A crimson line over the skin seemed to melt with a few droplets of blood. Arg! What the hell was that? You think you're stupid overgrown hen, hissed Bakugo. While the blonde was still seething, Izuku's sudden change to annoyed caused the 2 witnesses to stutter back a bit. Back off, Bakugo. I don't care what you have to say about your so-called destiny or how you're going to be the future number 1 and all that. I've heard that too many times at school already. Before Katsuki could reply, his friends began shaking with a terrified look on their faces. He could hear something slither out from the sidewalk drain and a large shadow encompass them. On instinct, Izuku moved to protect the fear-stricken teens, but in doing so, left Katsuki wide open. Perfect. A medium-sized meat suit, I can get away with you. In the massive glob of vile substance, I slid to a forming peak and a row of yellow-white teeth followed. A tendril lashed out for a shocked Katsuki Bakugo. Wait, Bakugo and oh. Unfortunately, Izuku leaping for him allowed the slime villain to capture him as well. Ah! A warrant for the first. Don't mind if I do, ahahaha. He'd managed to secure the other two's safety, and he could only trust they'd find a pro as they ran out the alleyway screaming. Damn it! I need to get free. If I try to break out with my quirk, the intensity might do a little more than blow him apart. I might kill him. As Izuku hesitated on using his gift, Katsuki did the exact opposite and couldn't care less. With panic came the rage of his situation, fueling Katsuki's ensuing explosions. The blasts weren't containable with his quirk alone, and so the slime villain was forced to retreat from the cramped alleyway. Death Arms, Kamui Woods, Backdraft, and a public audience gathered around the commotion. Mayhem reigned supreme on the streets. Toshinori struggled over to the building commotion. His time limit had run out, leaving the blonde hero a frail twig of a man. He clutched the hole in his left side, remembering the glaring wound in the mirror this morning. I'm so pathetic. Not only did I lose him, but I also used up all my time. Pathetic, pathetic. Thought Toshinori, gritting his teeth angrily. Oh my god. He's taken two poor boys. Isn't that the villain All Might was chasing earlier? All Might? Where? He went pale and dared a few steps closer to the crowd. Now on the side, leaning against a pole, he felt his blood freeze on seeing the familiar ooze attempting to swallow two boys in middle school uniforms. Death Arms and Kamui Woods were yelling something to each other, and Backdraft stepped in front of the mob to hose down nearing flames. The symbol of peace wanted to yell all his curses and misfortunes in life to the man who'd given him the injury, the one holding him back from helping this very moment. One of the hostages broke free somehow. Toshinori didn't know how he did it, but the fact was something he felt relieved for. Kamui extended his limbs to take the boy out of the surrounding destruction. Then he witnessed it. A nimble run into the sky. A graceful flip into the air. A screech followed by a streak of fire. The slime villain dispersed immediately, and what landed kneeling on the ground, with a hand to the asphalt, was hope. Toshinori felt the world slow and the 7 iridescent lights of One for All zeroed in on the young man with green hair. His gaze was stoic and his posture at full height exuded confidence, as though the teen believed his presence alone could temper the chaos. The streak returned to him, but all his static blue eyes could see was someone who was worthy. There's something about him, I'll need to find out more, but that spark in his eyes. The thin man remembered his old master, the flame that was inside her. She'd been entrusted with his greatest secret because the bearers before her also carried this light in them. Yes, he very well could be the one. Izuku could see from the corner of his eyes Katsuki struggling to break free. His eyes landed more consistently on the pro-heroes failing to push through. Frustration and disappointment bubbled in his chest with every exchange of words they had. From the morning traffic jam, tried stepping in but couldn't fit 1 foot into the small shopping plaza. We can't get close enough or do any effective damage to this creep. We have to wait for someone with the right quirk. Growled Death Arms. Of course, it's always the quirk. If you won't protect these people with everything you've got, then. Izuku could feel himself fade, but one last glance towards Katsuki's retaliating blasts willed him conscious long enough. The blonde's explosions were going everywhere, making it difficult for the slime villain to concentrate on holding them both. Izuku could tell by the difference in his level of restraint. More slime was covering up Katsuki than himself, letting him pull off the escape plan. Twisting his upper body to the left, he violently jerked to the right. Exactly where he moved to, the blonde blew away Izuku's restraints, allowing him to roll out of the mass. I'm not done yet. Kamui made to grab him like the other passing civilians caught up in the initial attacks. He looked from in between his frazzled curls that hung over his eyes. Much to everyone's audible shock, Izuku jumped nimbly onto the extended limb and started running up it as though he weighed nothing. Kamui, unsure of what to do, began retracting his arm, but even then, Izuku outran the recession. He leaped off the wooden man's shoulder and arched his back slightly, stoically peering over his own at the villain below with just rage. Here's that sense Auntie's been wanting for you, Katsuki. Time to show you you're not alone at the top. Now, shoo! From seemingly nowhere, the wooden elf swooped in from a rooftop ledge. A gathering whistle sound increased in volume as a mock cone formed. The wave changed color to match Shu as it burst into flames with a phoenix-like call. It dove past Izuku faster than he could fall to the ground, folding its wings into a corkscrew. Like a mini comet or torpedo, Shu pierced the slime villain. What started as a large hole quickly imploded and sent the miry body everywhere. The greenette flipped once more in order to face the other way. Landing on his feet, Izuku let the sudden stop bring him to a knee and one hand to steady himself. The crowd went ballistic. Whoa, away at it. There were cheers and swaps of thought on what had just transpired. Meanwhile, the pro-heroes were on the side trying to think of the best way to address the boy, though some people could tell in the moment, they just wanted to save face. What the hell were you thinking? Do you have a death wish or something? Next time, leave it to the professionals to handle this. Geez, everyone these days thinks they can be a hero. Death Arms grumbled away, followed by an equally upset Kamui Woods to check on an unconscious Katsuki Bakugo. This time the crowd, even the paramedics and police officers, went silent. Anyone can be a hero, but from what I've seen, I don't believe you're cut out for this. The heroes swelled in shock, most notably the two who marched back. Watch your tone, young man. You don't get to dash. No, you watch your tone with me. That got them to listen, and sunken, blue eyes to watch even more intently. I was under the impression that professionals knew how to handle a situation. Tell me, does all your training and experience lean on having the right quirk, Is it all about having a suitable power or what makes it easier? No, it doesn't. As both a victim in this and part of the public, I wholeheartedly say on everyone's behalf, we don't expect you to be perfect. However, Izuku let his hair shadow his eyes and the tightness of his grip could be heard like a straining rope. As someone who idolizes the title you hold poorly and its meaning, I expect you to do everything to keep them safe. He pointed to the crowd, drawing a sort of fond gasp from them, suddenly lifting his gaze to glare holes at the two heroes. One of you is incompetent, and the other is too unimaginative. Kamui took offense. Now, listen here. What was I supposed to do other than what I did? Wood doesn't mix with flames, in case you didn't notice. Izuku turned with a vexed scowl. Oh, because flesh and blood do so much better. I used my quirk to exploit one of several weaknesses this guy had, and none of you tried to do anything else. Our quirks don't give us your nimble abilities, punk. It's not like we can just waltz through the explosions. Izuku saw red. Who in the blue hell ever said my quirk gave me agility? Running up Kamui Wood's arm was pure and simple training. My quirk is fire-based and shown clearly by Shu ramping up his flames for our counterattack. Have you ever explored or experimented with other facets of your powers? Backdraft was about to speak up before the greenette interrupted him. When someone's life is on the line, you do everything it takes to save them. Even if it means you get hurt or even die yourself, you still try. The crowd was flabbergasted. It would have been comical had it not been for the fact that he was right. Izuku slowly trudged past them to the police, the public quickly descending into a debate amongst themselves. The hero hopeful ignored the stunned heroes, and since he still wasn't comfortable with being seen yet, he quickly sorted out a request to have footage of him specifically brought off the table. During the middle of it, Izuku was asked who he wanted to credit for the cover-up. As sad as it is, just give it to Death Arms, Kamui Woods, Backdraft in. The Greenette thought back to the villain's rampage and could remember a new face from the morning. The officer looked puzzled at his choice, but from afar, the heroine eyed with interest. She hadn't done anything aside from shielding the crowd from the intense burst of Izuku's attack, yet he decided it was enough to give credit. Much like herself, the whole world was about to witness something confounding.